Hello, and welcome to Markets in Focus. My name is Joe Bell, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the most interesting financial market themes that I'm observing. So, a lot of positivity around jobless claims, which dropped to their lowest level in 3 years, a little bit different than what we saw from the private payrolls report from the ADP. Also, big inflation report ahead of the Fed meeting came out just early on Friday morning. The PCE inflation, remember, delayed since September, comes in a little bit lower than expected, and market took it pretty positively. And finally, that yield curve is steepening as we head into the Fed meeting, lower end moving lower and the higher end moving, or the longer end moving higher. So jobless claims dropped to the lowest level in 3 years. The weekly jobless claims came in at 191,000. You can see that on the chart. That's the lowest in more than 3 years. That's encouraging because we obviously had that spike up in Challenger survey layoffs during the month of October announcements. Well, that's come down back to 71,000. And the labor market seems to be in a bit of a holding pattern. It's sort of this don't fire, but don't hire. Companies are definitely not hiring at the pace that they've done, but it is showing a little bit of resiliency here heading into the holiday season. Now, the other part of the Fed's big dual mandate is PCE inflation, which came in on Friday. Remember, this was for the September report, so it's very delayed, but it did come in slightly lower than expectations at 2.8 year over year for the PCE core. Remember, the PCE core it excludes energy and food prices, which tend to be a little more volatile and looks at the broader economy absent those areas. And you can see month over month only at 0.2%. Those are both pretty good signs, not at the Fed's long-term target of 2%. And that's important because as we head into the Fed meeting, we're seeing the yield curve steepen. That is, the short end of the curve is moving lower, as you see on this chart here in the dark blue. That was 1 week ago, just after Thanksgiving, November 28th. And this was Friday morning, December 5th. And the teal, you can see the short end has come down lower. The market moved from skepticism about what the Fed was going to do at their December Fed meeting to up to 90% probability that the Fed is going to cut rates. I anticipate that will be up near 99% by early next week as we head turn toward that Fed meeting. But the long end of the curve didn't come down as much. Obviously, the Fed doesn't have as much power there, but we did see rates move higher on the long end. Two potential reasons. There continues to be this lingering concern. You even saw that in the September meeting minutes from the Fed around lingering inflation. Remember, it's not at that 2% target yet. So continued concerns around inflation. We've also continued to see heavy Treasury issuance. Remember, the US government has a lot of debt. That's a thematic long-term theme to think about with the longer end of the interest rate curve, is that to the extent the government does need to issue more and more treasuries over the coming years, perhaps that puts a little bit of upward pressure on the long end, longer maturity bonds, which is typically where they borrow historically. With that, I want to thank everyone for watching. And before we wrap up, share some interesting news out of China. All the news we always hear is about tariffs, but I want to share something really important. China is testing new toilet paper dispensers in public restrooms. Apparently, they were fatigued with people stealing or taking so much toilet paper. It's going to have a QR code. And get this, you'll have to listen to an advertisement in order to get your piece of toilet paper. So every piece that you want, you're going to have to click that QR code, listen to the advertisement. They say this is to combat that excessive use of toilet paper in China. I don't know what's going to happen if they have a technology glitch. I don't want to be in that bathroom, but good luck. We'll see how that testing goes and keep an eye on that to see if something like that's coming here stateside. With that, I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.